there is 3 generations of people here involved. Some of them, the family members are here on the trip all the way, sometimes grandkids with them. And then back home there'll be another generation that's helping out, running the business, keeping the things going and that sort of thing. My wife's at home keeping things on track while I'm here. Yeah, we have, Ron and Ned and Marshall and David White here as our main drovers, and they have a wealth of experience, have actually done this job in their prime, in their younger years. And droving cattle is a different thing than mustering. So to pass those skills on, you need to get them out of these old fellas and then onto the next generation. So we've got these young people here, and then they understand what it's like to get up in the morning to feed your cattle along a little bit, and then your cattle will be looking for water and they'll walk. And you might, try and judge it so you're walking through your tougher country while they're thirsty. They'll walk for water. You get them to water, and you fill them up, and then they go. If you can give them a feed, and then after that they'll sort of look to top up again and fill right up, and then you'll walk them up to steadily take them up to your night camp and camp them up. And by the time you get them camped up for the night, you'll have them nice and full of food, nice and full of water, and then they're tired because they've walked that whole day. So that's the way it goes, and you sort of you're allowed to take your time. Store cattle traditionally would walk about 9 mile a day, and fat cattle 6 mile a day. And we're very lucky. We've got half a dozen very good donors that have loaned us these cattle. The cattle are an absolute credit to them, absolute. And these cattle will come into town in just as good order as they left. So that's our aim, and you need to pass that on to the next generation. It's not sort of you muster today, you got a reason why you're mustering, for ticks or branding or whatever, and so you're quick and you're in and out, and they get back with their mothers and it's all done and dusted. But this job here, you need to be slower. Your heartbeat's got to slow down a fair bit.
Underlying this is about resilience. It's about building community within the Eidsvold and North Burnett. How important is that? Because you have been through tough times in recent years with a succession of floods, poor communications and drought.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. But you can't dwell on those things. If you do dwell on them, you'll be looking back all the time. I've never seen anyone walking backwards yet and achieve anything. You've got to go forwards. So when you're going forwards, you think forwards too, and you look to the future and how things are going to go. And we've always been a good little cattle town, and I'd hope that we'll always be a good little cattle town for many generations ago to go ahead. And, when you look around and see the young people here, they're going to be every bit as clever as their parents and forebearers, and every bit as resilient. And they'll continue it on, There's some of the stations that we've come through now, I was out of Tandoor, and I said to Mary, by gee, 3 kids there, 3 lads, and they're good men. And, that's just an example of a family that's been here for 100 years, and I can't see it stopping, with those fellas there sitting there ready to take the reins over.
And obviously it's slowed down a bit. People are having a great time, and that's part of it too. It's bridging the city-country divide, giving people who love horses in the city or have never been on horses the experience of having these several days on the road. And are you pleased with that? Do you feel that you've achieved something?
Oh, of course. We've had entertainment for people every night, singers and poets and larrikins and yarn tellers and whatnot. So. It's been very good.
This is Jan and John Mossman, and John Mossman lived and grew up in Eidsvold. Jan, tell us a little bit about your husband's background and how he came to be here.
His parents lived in this area. His mother came from Wales as a very little girl, and his father's been in this area since 1848. I think his great-grandfather came out here.
So that was when the Archers were here, when it was really just opened up?
Yes, well, they didn't come up here until...
They didn't come up here till 1888, 1887, when gold was discovered in Eidsvold. And they come from Tenterfield up here, which was also a gold mining sort of a place.
And they were hoping to make their fortune up here?
Well, they were teamsters in those days, of course. And the grandfather went down and brought the grandmother up. She come up as far as Warwick by train, and that was a 3-week trip to go down and a three-week trip to come back to Eidsvold to work.
And so they came up to Eidsvold. Where were they living? What were they living in?
Being tents and things, that's what it was. Tents, nothing like that.
And when you say he was a teamster, he wasn't digging for gold. What was he doing?
Carting goods, supplies to Eidsvold from Mount Perry.
Historically, was it a bustling place at that time?
Well, they told us it was, yes. There was 13 hotels, of course.
13 hotels in Eidsvold?
Yes. There was a bit of population, 2,500 to 3,000.
And you grew up here too?
Yeah, but not in that era, though.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, it was during the war that I went to school here in Eidsvold, and it was very, well, it got down to 2 teachers, and the older kids used to teach the young ones there, not teach them, listen to their spellings and all that sort of thing. Mr. Knox would delegate different kids every day to do certain things. And that's how they got through the education during the war.
And were you on a farm or were you in town?
No, I was on a farm, but we had a farm down at St John's Creek near towards Mandubra, down at Old Canambula.
And was cattle always so important to the make-up, the livelihood of Eidsvold after the gold rush was presumably over?
No, the sheep before gold. Speargrass beat the sheep. That's when they went into cattle.
And you were a Hereford man in the early days?
Shorthorns, Herefords, yes.
Yeah. What do you think of the Santas? Were they any good?
Oh yes, they were good cattle. We eventually got 2 Santas and the crossbreds of Charolais and that sort of thing.
Now, John, how important is this drove to the history of Eidsvold and to the livelihood of Eidsvold and reliving the memories of Eidsvold?
Well, it's more or less when, what's his name?
Martin Snelling was the first agent here for the sales, and he had the biggest sale held, and he had over 7,600 head came to the first sale, and they were sold within 5 hours, and those cattle were all walked in from outlying stations.
Started in Eidsvold in 24, but his big sale was in 32 or 33.
Okay, so this drove is reenacting it, and you're helping these people. Some of them volunteered, some of them paid. What's it like? You're doing the lunch run. First of all, what do you give them for lunch? We
start with morning tea, and after they leave here earlier, and then we take the morning tea and we give them biscuits, apples, oranges, water, no tea for the morning tea, and biscuits or pikelets or just whatever we've got, cake. Whatever they want, they get a choice.
Now, what do you love doing of it? What do you love about doing this?
I'm a country girl. I just like horses. I like animals, and it's just being with the people and doing something to help the community.
Thank you very much, John.
Yep.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you.